In our brains, of course, there's a structure which governs moods, and we can register everything on a sliding scale from rage to bliss, depending on what's going on around us. And sometimes, of course, what's going on inside us too. You always sell your record tickets when somebody's had plenty of food and, probably more importantly, plenty of wine. On an off day, we can range from grumpy to enraged. But rage, it seems to me, to be anger which has got out of control. You say and you do uncharacteristic things, as we see in road rage. On a different tack, I have a memory of standing years ago at a very busy spot in the High Street in Exeter, pretending to read a newspaper, whilst a certain 2-year-old lay on the pavement having a truly impressive tantrum because his wishes had been thwarted. There was no possible reasoning. He was, for the moment, and it was quite a long moment, out of touch with the world. At the other end, grumpy. Well, Hosea described a grumpy day thus. He complained, "Nettles are growing up amongst my treasures, and my tent is full of brambles." I can relate to that, and I dare say I'm not alone. We're thinking this week about anger. As Christians, we tend to think of anger as inappropriate. It belongs to the Old Testament, when people were in awe of a God who told you how to live and became angry when you failed. Punishment was sure to follow. But we follow that gentle Jesus, meek and mild, whose essence is love. He shows us a forgiving God. He heals people even when they've made mistakes and tried to accommodate their weaknesses, so anger is a bad thing. No, anger is allowed, I'm sure, and in fact it's expected. And Jesus did get angry, so what we need to know is what made him angry. He was angered by the arrogance of rich people who thought that they were superior to the poor, and almost certainly even more with holy people who thought that they were closer to God than others. Add to that hypocrisy. He called the Pharisees whitened tombs, fine on the outside, but literally full of corruption. Then there was exploitation. People coming to the temple to offer a sacrifice were diddled by the money changers and then overcharged for the pigeons. On that occasion it did come close to rage. He cleared them away with a whip. We hear of his anger on seeing injustice when the law favoured the powerful and the vulnerable were not defended, and again when the vulnerable were not cared for, as in widows and orphans. That was then. What should make us angry today as we watch the news or read the papers? We can, of course, be totally absorbed in our little world, but that is now not how it should be. As we follow Christ, we should be angered by what angered him. And George reminded us the other day of the fact that during Lent we need to reflect on the corporate sins of mankind as well as on our own personal ones. If asked to tick the things which concern us most, we should, I expect, all tick poverty, pollution, climate change, slavery and other exploitations. But are we angry? And does our anger lead to anything? Often, of course, we feel powerless, and sometimes we are. But praying regularly for those in power does remind us of our own obligations. Since lockdown, I have watched some afternoon TV. Excuse me. The commercials between the items are heartbreaking. Children who are little more than skin and bone. Children forced to live with face disfiguration or drink contaminated water. Girls forced into marriage and animals exploited until they drop. And I am angry. Who can I help with a donation? And at the end of the day, I have to choose. I can't support them all, and it's hard. But Jesus was reacting to situations he met as he met them in person day to day. Within our communities, within our families, maybe within a church, there may be hypocrisy or subtle bullying. Maybe the structure encourages us to think that we are more important because we have greater social standing or education. And such attitudes must still anger God and cause grief. Lent is a time for repentance, but being sorry sincerely always leads to change. Lord, open our eyes.